so grateful for this. My hairbrush smells like the perfume I think it licked inside. So grateful for this beautiful trip. It's funny how people handle coming back home in different matters, you know. Some feel a bit depressed, some feel a bit quite happy to come back home to its comfort. Some feel very sad that the trip is finishing up. I'm pretty neutral because no matter what happens, I must and I find happiness wherever I am. This is the challenge I'm trying to practice here. But what I feel like talking about is how important, actually urgent, and such a priority it is to constantly be aware and actively work on ourselves, you know. And I see it in people around me, but I see it especially with my own parents, where if we tend to ignore or just go on with our routine and keep ourselves busy with routine, work, and understand we all have different responsibilities. We've got to work, we've got to make food, we've got to, you know, eat and relax and all these things. But if all we do is just surfing through life, which means going to school, going to work, cooking, cleaning, doing the chores and the task at hand to take care of a household, but we're not actually being actively working on ourselves or being intentional in our words, our actions, in our thought process, and actually making an intention out of relationship and trying to make the relationship work better, trying to understand our fears, our tendencies, our patterns, our reactions, our ego mind, just simply being aware of all of those things. Well, I'm seeing it firsthand how we're just gonna get worse in time, right? Someone once told me when I was working in this projects of self-development and we were building this business, he was often saying there's no such thing as staying in place, right? You are whether going you're whether moving forward or you're regressing. And I had a hard time believing that because I was like, well, if we're not moving forward but we're not doing things worse, how can we regress, right? Like, I'd like to believe that at least what you have progressed so far has been counted upon and being taken into account. But today I understand and grasp a little bit this concept in the sense that seeing it and observing it firsthand, I just left for a week, let's say, for my trip, right? And when people, I don't know if people know, I guess that some people just don't know how to tackle, how to get happier in life, how to heal themselves, how to improve their lifestyle and elevate their life. I'm guessing it's because they just don't know how to get that at this point. So they just surf through life without knowing how to get better, or without having the tools or the knowledge. However, there is knowledge accessible for you at every corner of our information today, through videos, through books, through many ways. But perhaps there's this fear of paralysis. You don't know where to start as well. So I'm just talking and thinking as I'm sharing it with you. But after just 1 week of a trip, and for me it seemed like so much more than a week because so much things have happened. I'm probably going to share that on another video, but it was such a blessing for me to experience what I've experienced, and I've always using everything as an observation and as an opportunity for me to grow and see how I can translate that and transcend that in my everyday life. And observing people and humanity in general and humankind just is fascinating for me, you know. But after just 1 week, I've seen my parents just regressed, not in a not in like, oh my gosh, they're never gonna get better in life, right? And but regress in the matter that I've seen them becoming just more robotic and tending to go towards their ego mind and their old fears and their old ways actually. So they're not doing anything worse in their life. They're actually just living their life by, you know, they're 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 subsiding for their needs. They're having a household. They have should I say a roof over their head. They have food. They have anything you can possibly imagine just to be basically grateful, right? A lot of other people cannot say the same thing, but yet the energy, and I felt way too tired today to take that on. That's why after this video I will have to do some prayer meditation and cleansing and really just stay focused on my energy and my bubble, my temple. But I could sense their energy being depleted, right? Like if they were seeking my joy and my positivity unconsciously, of course, in order to have this jolt, to have this boost of confidence and love and joy and happiness, they were seeking it through my energy, because that's what I am in my family. I'm such a bubble of joy and energy, and I'm bringing this huge, wave of possibility and hope. But sometimes I have to stay more on a low position in order to feel this, in order to protect my bubble in term, right? We're all humans, we're all having ups and downs, which is okay. And I haven't slept a lot as well last night, so I was sensing their their sickness, not sickness, but I was sensing how they were seeking it, how they were happy to see me. But at the same time, I was sensing also their energy, how they were depleted, and how each one of them in multiple instances and ways to speak to each other actually. Like with me, they would be very, kind, loving, happy to see me, because I'm not living with them. But with themselves and with each other, there's a lot of lack of patience, a lot of lack of love. The way they would respond to each other, they were so disenergized. And my day, my dad sent him come back to his old self, even though he's working out, going out. I feel like he's going back to his old self. I feel like he's simply unhappy. There's no joy in his way of living, and I'm talking here openly, obviously, and very vulnerably of what I'm sensing and observing. And my mom, I felt her, even though she's listening more to videos to go to sleep and work with her anxiety, I sensed her more anxious, a lot of anxiety through her. Like, even though it was like in a joyful, spirited way she was talking, there was a lot of anxiety through her words, right? Like, oh, be careful. Oh, you're gonna do that. If you don't do that, you're gonna fall. Be careful. You're not gonna. Don't do that. She was speaking in a way of her old ways, where she would just always expect the worst scenarios in very tiny and basic stuffs, right? Like just pouring food in the couch, right? Not pouring, but I mean like making a mess on the couch with food, right? So my point here at the end of the day is I realized that many, many people surf through life being busy with their routine, and then because they're becoming so tired and depleted from their routine of work, job, eat, food, work out, everything, the rest of the time they spend it to just distract their mind and not think about it. But the thing is, if you ignore your own issues and your wounds, it won't go away. It will only grow bigger and more in your face. And the more you ignore it and the more you pretend it doesn't exist or you think it's going to go away by itself, the more it's just going to go worse. And you're going to start using even more your mechanism of defense to ignore the situation at hand, ignore the fears that you're having, ignore the pain, the discomfort, um, because you're just not having the head space or the energy to face it. So you just avoid and finding so many different ways, right? So if in a relationship both do that, each their own, they're starting to even more be depleted, each their own, they're gonna have this sense of unhappiness and discomfort. And next time you know, they're just blowing up out of little tiny things and they just see the world half empty instead of half full. And this is why we say when with the meaning of the expression, the if you don't do nothing, you're not being intentional with your progress and your in your life, you're either progressing or you're either regressing. So I'm seeing it firsthand. If you're not actively working on yourself or making an effort of talking about it, observing it, self-awareness, making work into it, putting work into it with easy, like it's not complicated growing and progressing. It's not. You've just got to want it enough and put time in it. And this is why I believe there's a lot of mentors, coaches, or accompagners to help you through that, especially if you are lost or you don't know where to start. But it seems like if I'm not there to reach out a hand or bring them the, this post of joy or encouragement, they're just not floating. They're just barely floating on the water. But if I'm not there for extended time, which will happen, right? Because I can't be there for them forever, they will go back to their old ways. And as much as it hurts me and makes me sad to witness that, at the end of the day, I've learned that I have to let go. I have to let go of people. That's their choices of living. And if they want to reach out for help, if they want to be curious about new ways and resources, they've got to do it on their own. Only their relationship with God and their own relation with themselves can provide the solace. Um, I'll always be there for them. I'm always going to be there for everyone that, for that matter, be available to listen, to provide help, to provide comfort. But at the end of the day, the one that has to make the work has to be themselves, and it belongs only to them, right? So I've got to release this attachment, which I worked hard a lot before because I used to really take it personal and take it very to heart every people's pain, especially the ones that I cared about. But today I'm much able to be detached by it. That could be for another subject for another time. So all that to say, guys, don't let life scare you away. Don't let life make you lazy. Don't make your routine get the best out of you. You've got to be intentional with your time, with your lifetime here on earth, with whoever you want to become, or your true self actually is already here, is already within yourself. And you're just letting old patterns and old programming get the best of you. And if you're not putting intentional work and time into your life, into your progress, into your growth, you're just going to be regressing unconsciously in an unaware way. Like yourself, you don't see it as much as somebody would pay attention because they would obviously they're not in the jar themselves, so they're able to like make more of a statement in a detached and objective observation than you can do it about yourself. And this is what we have to practice, right? So if that calls out to you and that relates to you or whatever people that you know that you feel like it's truthful, I encourage you to just pray for them, pray for yourself, pray for guidance, pray for enlightenment, pray for a desire, a willingness to grow, to change, to change the outcomes of your life. Because everything you see right now, if it feels boring, if it feels like repetitive, if it feels like sad or discouraged, it's only because it's through your own eyes of life, your perspective eyes. And only when you change within yourself, you can see your life differently. Nothing will change per se, but your eyes and your mindset will, your spirit will. And there's always tools, guys. If you want to reach out, you can always comment for me. And I should definitely put up my email somewhere. I'm just like not doing it. Um, but I pray for all of those people. I pray for myself. I pray for you guys. I pray for everyone, because change is coming and we've got to be prepared and we've got to be willing to face this change open heartedly and open mindedly. So that's it.